Inner harmony creates outer radiance. When the body and mind are in a state of alignment, the skin begins to reflect that inner balance. Most people attempt to solve outer problems with outer solutions. They apply creams, follow routines, and seek surface-level changes. But the skin, like the breath, like the heartbeat, is deeply connected to what is happening within. Stress, anxiety, poor nutrition, negative thoughts. These are the roots that dull the skin's natural glow. When these internal factors are not addressed, no matter how advanced a skincare routine is, the glow remains temporary. Inner harmony requires a conscious shift in how we treat ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, and how we nourish both our bodies and minds. It is the act of slowing down, of breathing with intention, of honoring the body not as an object, but as a vessel. When we are at peace with ourselves, it shows, not only in our words and actions, but in the softness of our skin and the brightness of our eyes. The journey to inner harmony begins with awareness. This awareness is not forced. It is cultivated through stillness and observation. When we begin to listen to our bodies without judgment, we notice the signs it gives us. The skin may break out, it may feel dry, dull, inflamed. These are not just skin issues. These are messages. Messages from within that something is out of balance. Instead of silencing these messages, we must learn to decode them. Every symptom on the surface is rooted deeper. When digestion is poor, when the liver is overburdened, when sleep is inconsistent, when emotions are suppressed, the skin speaks. It reveals the truth. Glowing skin is a byproduct of a clear mind and a nourished body. When the nervous system is calm, when the hormones are balanced, when the thoughts are free from chaos, the skin breathes. It does not hold tension. It regenerates. It heals faster. The glow that people often chase with products can be created through rituals of self-care that begin with respect for the body's inner rhythm. Eating whole foods, practicing mindfulness, hydrating not just with water but with good intentions. These actions contribute to a stable inner world. And from that place of balance, outer radiance naturally emerges. There is a reason monks and spiritual practitioners often appear ageless. Their lives are disciplined, not chaotic. Their minds are focused, not scattered. Their breath is slow, not rushed. They do not chase beauty, they embody it through their way of living. We can learn from this simplicity. Instead of overloading the skin with chemicals, instead of rushing to fix what is seen, we can slow down and focus on what is felt. What do we feel when we eat certain foods? When we speak certain words? When we think certain thoughts? Do we feel heavy, inflamed, tired? Or do we feel light, clear, grounded? These inner sensations guide us toward balance. And from that balance, beauty is born. The practice of achieving inner harmony is not something that happens overnight. It is a discipline. It is showing up every day for yourself. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It is creating habits that support your energy instead of draining it. It is setting boundaries, resting when needed, moving the body in ways that bring joy, and releasing the things that no longer serve you. The skin is always responding. It responds to our environment, our sleep, our food, our stress, our joy. When you give it the right environment, one rooted in calm, in nourishment, in love, it thrives. It doesn't need to be forced to look good. It naturally reflects the peace within. We must also understand that inner harmony is deeply connected to acceptance. Acceptance of where we are now, of how we look now, of what we are experiencing now. This doesn't mean we don't strive for improvement. It means we begin from a place of compassion, not criticism. When we look in the mirror, we should not ask, "What is wrong?" We should ask, "What do I need?" This shift in perspective changes everything. It turns skincare from a task into a ritual. It turns eating from a routine into a ceremony. It turns movement from exercise into expression. And in this new approach, we begin to glow. Not because we are trying to, but because we are living in alignment with our nature. It is also important to recognize that the energy we carry affects how we look. Jealousy, anger, guilt, these emotions have a weight. They are stored in the body. They affect our organs, our hormones, our immune response. And eventually, they affect our skin. When we release these emotions through breath work, meditation, forgiveness, we begin to create space for healing. That healing shows. It is visible, and it doesn't come from a product. It comes from a place of stillness, of grace. When people say, "You're glowing," it is rarely about makeup or lighting. It is about energy. A glowing person is someone who is present, who is kind to themselves, who is clear in their thoughts and open in their heart. The vitamins we take, the food we eat, the sleep we get, these all contribute to that glow. But without inner peace, they are only tools. The foundation remains the same in harmony within. In a world that constantly pushes us to do more, achieve more, look better, faster. Choosing stillness, choosing balance, choosing simplicity is an act of rebellion, but it is the most powerful form of care. Your skin does not need more effort. It needs more harmony. The glow you are searching for is already inside you. Let it rise from within. Nutrition is not a trend, it is a discipline. In a world flooded with quick fixes, fads, and social media health tips, it's easy to forget that true nourishment is not something temporary. It is not about following a diet for a week or trying the latest supplements because it's popular. Real nutrition is a way of life. It is a commitment that goes beyond appearance. It is the daily practice of choosing what strengthens us, what fuels us, and what aligns with our long-term well-being. It is not defined by what others say is good or bad, but by what our body truly needs. Listening to the body, honoring its signals, and giving it what it deserves requires discipline. Not pressure, not obsession, but consistent awareness and mindful choices repeated over time. Discipline in nutrition is not about restriction, it is about clarity. It is about understanding what food does to your system. It is realizing that everything you eat becomes part of you. Your skin, your blood, your cells. They are all formed from the materials you provide. When that truth settles in, it becomes difficult to continue eating unconsciously. You begin to see food not just as taste or convenience, but as energy, information, and medicine. You begin to value the quality of what you consume. You start to choose what enhances your system, what supports your glow, what builds resilience from within. That kind of relationship with food cannot be created overnight. It is developed over time through patience and observation. Many people look for dramatic changes in short periods, but nutrition doesn't work that way. The body heals gradually. It responds slowly, but consistently. When we treat nutrition as a trend, we jump from one idea to the next, constantly chasing new results, but never building a foundation. True transformation begins when we treat it as a discipline. When we show up every day, even when there's no instant reward, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. That quiet consistency is what creates real change, not just in how we look, but in how we feel, how we think, and how we show up in the world. Food affects more than the physical body. It impacts our emotions, our thoughts, our energy. Certain foods may bring temporary pleasure, but leave us feeling heavy, slow, or restless afterward. Others may seem simple or plain, but fill us with clarity, lightness, and focus. When we approach nutrition with discipline, we become sensitive to these effects. We stop eating only with our tongue and start eating with our intuition. We ask ourselves, how does this food make me feel an hour later? How does my skin respond to it? How do I sleep after eating this way? These questions bring us closer to understanding our unique biology, and from that understanding, discipline becomes natural, not forced, but aligned. The skin is often the first place to reflect nutritional imbalance. Deficiencies in essential vitamins, excesses in processed sugars, or inconsistent eating habits can lead to breakouts, dullness, or inflammation. But again, the goal is not to panic or to follow the next extreme trend. The goal is to return to balance, to return to whole, living foods, to reintroduce the basics: fruits, vegetables, seeds, clean water, healthy fats, and unprocessed grains. These may not sound exciting in a world obsessed with superfoods and miracle powders, but their power is quiet and undeniable. Over time, they restore what has been lost. They repair the skin from the inside. They do not promise overnight miracles. They deliver steady healing. There is also discipline in knowing when to pause, when to fast, when to allow the body to reset. Constant consumption is not nourishment. Sometimes, giving the body a break is the greatest gift. Allowing digestion to rest, allowing inflammation to subside, allowing the body to detox naturally. This is also part of nutritional discipline. It requires listening. It requires respect. It is not always about adding more, but about knowing when to step back. In this space of stillness, the body performs miracles. The skin clears, the eyes brighten, the energy returns. But to reach that place, one must first trust the process and let go of the noise. The discipline of nutrition also means accepting that not every day will be perfect. There will be moments of indulgence, of mistakes, of imbalance. But discipline is not about perfection. It is about returning, again and again. Returning to your center, returning to the path that you have chosen because it supports your health, your clarity, and your peace. There is no failure in discipline, only reminders. Every meal is an opportunity. Every choice is a step forward or backward. And even when we fall, we get to decide how quickly we rise again. In the silence of routine, in the repetition of choosing what's right over what's easy, there is strength. There is a kind of inner glow that starts to build. Not because you're eating for your skin, but because you're living in a way that honors your whole self. That discipline, to care, to pause, to choose, becomes visible. It shows up in your skin, yes, but also in your posture, in your voice, in your eyes. People begin to feel your energy shift, not just your appearance. And that is when you realize nutrition is not a trend, it is self-respect in action. There is no secret diet, no perfect supplement that works for everyone. The only truth that remains consistent is that real food, consumed with awareness and intention, will always bring you back to balance. Vitamins help, herbs support. But discipline is the force that keeps you steady through the ups and downs. Discipline is the quiet voice that reminds you who you want to be and how you want to feel. And that feeling of being clear, light, energized, and grounded, that is the reward. That is the glow. Not from outside in, but from inside out. That is what makes nutrition powerful. Not because it's popular, but because it's personal. Because it requires you to take responsibility for what you become. Every bite is a choice. Every meal is a message. When you choose wisely, You send your body the message, and I care. I listen. I'm here for you. And the body responds. Every clarity. With strength. With beauty. True beauty emerges when the body, mind, and spirit are aligned. Beauty that lasts is not something that can be painted on the surface or captured in a single moment. It is something much deeper. It comes from a sense of peace that is felt even before it is seen. It radiates without trying. When a person is in alignment, there is a calm strength that flows through them. Their posture, their breath, their tone, and even the way their skin glows. It all becomes a reflection of the harmony within. Alignment is not just a spiritual idea. It is a very real experience, one that shows itself in the clarity of thought, the softness of the heart, and the health of the body. When these three elements work in unity, beauty arises naturally. It cannot be hidden, and it cannot be faked. The body is often the most visible part, and so many begin their journey with it. They try to correct what they see without realizing that what is seen is often the result of what is not seen. The body holds the consequences of thoughts and emotions. Tension, fatigue, illness. They are not isolated events. They are signals. They speak of imbalance, of neglect, of emotional weight that has not been released. When we begin to care for the body, we must do more than exercise or follow routines. We must listen to its messages. We must notice where it feels tight, where it feels empty, where it longs for rest or movement. That act of listening is the first step toward alignment. The body responds quickly to love and attention. When we nourish it with clean food, hydrate it, move it, and allow it to rest, it begins to support us with renewed energy, strength, and yes, visible beauty. But the body alone is not enough. The mind plays a role just as vital. A mind that is full of chaos, doubt, and comparison will always interrupt the process of healing. It will create resistance. It will question every step. It will distract from the journey inward. That's why stillness is so important. In stillness, the mind becomes a partner instead of an enemy. Through breath work, meditation, and simple moments of quiet, we give the mind space to slow down. We allow it to process, to release, to find clarity. A clear mind is a powerful tool. It knows when to act and when to wait. It does not cling to insecurity or chase validation. It rests in awareness. From that space, decisions become easier. Stress begins to dissolve. And when stress leaves the body, the skin follows. Inflammation fades. Breakouts lessen. The glow begins to return, not just because of what is applied, but because of what is no longer being carried. Then there is the spirit, the part of us that is beyond thought and form. When we are disconnected from this part, life feels mechanical. We wake, we eat, we work, but something feels missing. The spirit is what brings meaning to our actions. It is what fills simple moments with depth. When we connect with this part, through prayer, nature, silence, or even through acts of kindness, we awaken a sense of purpose. We remember that beauty is not just about how we look, but about how we live. When the spirit is ignored, we may have health and clarity, but we lack presence. Presence is what makes someone unforgettable. It is what draws others in without effort. A person whose spirit is alive carries a kind of light that no cream or treatment can replicate. When the body is cared for, when the mind is calm, and when the spirit is awake, there is no part of us that is in conflict. That is alignment. And in alignment, energy flows. Blood circulates smoothly, breath deepens, the nervous system relaxes, hormones balance. These internal shifts become external. The eyes become brighter, the voice steadier, the skin more vibrant. There is no tension being stored, no emotional toxin being hidden. That kind of beauty is not temporary. It does not fade when the makeup is removed or when the lighting changes. It is felt deeply by those around. It leaves a lasting impression because it is not based on appearance alone. It is based on truth. The journey to alignment does not require perfection. It requires honesty. It asks us to notice where we are disconnected. Maybe we are eating healthy, but our minds are filled with fear. Maybe we are meditating, but neglecting our physical health. Maybe we are kind to others, but harsh with ourselves. These imbalances do not make us weak. They are simply invitations to return. Each day gives us a chance to realign. Through small, consistent actions, we begin to harmonize the parts of ourselves that have drifted apart. And in doing so, we begin to feel whole again. Wholeness is magnetic. It is peaceful, but powerful. It allows us to walk into any space without needing to prove anything. It allows us to look in the mirror and smile, not because of perfection, but because of authenticity. We recognize ourselves not just as a body, not just as a mind, but as a being that is alive and in tune. In that recognition, judgment fades. Comparison fades. What remains is presence. What remains is grace. And that is the true essence of beauty. We live in a world that often encourages separation between work and rest, between thought and emotion, between the inner and outer self. But deep down, we know that separation is not natural. Integration is. The more we integrate our habits, our thoughts, and our intentions with our deepest values, the more aligned we become. And as we align, the world begins to respond differently. Opportunities arise, relationships deepen, and the skin, often seen as a shallow surface, becomes a clear and living symbol of inner health. This path is not always easy. It takes awareness, patience, and courage, but the reward is profound. Not just better skin, not just physical health, but the kind of peace that cannot be shaken, the kind of beauty that does not depend on age, trends, or external validation. When someone is aligned, they walk with confidence not because they are trying, but because they are grounded in something real. That reality shines. That truth glows. And that is why true beauty emerges when the body, mind, and spirit are aligned. Vitamins are not just supplements. They are tools to restore balance. In modern life, we often treat vitamins as optional additions, something extra we take when we feel low or when a doctor prescribes them. But in truth, vitamins are not extras. They are essential. They are foundational to how the body performs, how the skin heals, how the cells repair, and how energy is sustained. Without them, the body cannot function its full potential. They do not work like medicine that forces a result. Instead, they work like gentle guides that support the body's natural intelligence. They strengthen what is weak. They restore what is lost. They bring back the balance that daily stress, poor diet, and environmental toxins often disrupt. When we begin to view vitamins through this lens, not as pills to fix us, but as nourishment to align us, everything changes. We stop using them reactively, and we begin using them intentionally. We learn which vitamins our bodies truly need and why. We understand the role of each one, how vitamin C supports collagen and fights oxidative stress, how vitamin A assists in skin renewal, how vitamin D influences immunity and mood, how vitamin E protects the skin barrier, and how B vitamins fuel cellular energy. These are not abstract facts. These are real processes happening inside us every moment, silently working to maintain harmony. The body is always seeking balance. Every system, digestive, hormonal, nervous, and immune, depends on equilibrium. When one part falls out of sync, it affects the whole. Deficiencies in key vitamins often go unnoticed for years, masked by symptoms like fatigue, dull skin, poor concentration, or low mood. These are not random problems. They are the body's way of saying something is missing. Instead of silencing these messages, we must learn to listen. If the skin is dry and flaky, it may not be a surface issue. It may be a lack of vitamin A or E if there is frequent acne or inflammation. Perhaps the body lacks zinc or vitamin B6. If the skin appears pale and tired, it might signal low iron and B12. Understanding this connection empowers us to respond wisely. The role of vitamins goes beyond beauty. They help regulate hormones, protect cells from damage, reduce inflammation, and support detoxification. All of these functions directly influence the health of the skin. When the liver is overwhelmed, the skin often takes over as a detox organ, leading to breakouts or rashes. When the gut is unhealthy, nutrient absorption is poor, and even a good diet may not reach the cells where it's needed. In these cases, targeted vitamins can act like keys, unlocking the body's healing potential, but only when used with awareness. More is not always better. Balance means giving the body what it needs in the right dose and at the right time. There is wisdom in simplicity. The best sources of vitamins are still natural, whole foods, vegetables, seeds, nuts, and clean water. A ripe orange gives more than just vitamin C. It gives fiber, hydration, and life energy. Leafy greens provide not just vitamin K, but minerals, enzymes, and antioxidants that work in harmony. Supplements have a place, especially when the body is recovering or when the food supply is lacking in quality. But they are not a replacement for real nourishment. They are a support. A tool, one of many. The goal is not to depend on them forever, but to use them to bring the body back to its center. To balance. Balance is not a static state. It shifts daily. What the body needed last month may not be what it needs today. This is why awareness is so important. Checking in, noticing changes, tracking how we feel. All of these practices guide us towards smarter choices. For example, someone under high stress may deplete vitamin B and magnesium faster. Someone spending less time outdoors may need more vitamin D. A person healing from skin issues may benefit from zinc and vitamin A. This is not about guessing. It is about observing, learning, and applying with care. In ancient traditions, health was never separate from nature. People understood that food was medicine and that seasons affected the body. They adjusted their diets accordingly. In colder months, they sought warming foods rich in fat-soluble vitamins. In warmer months, they turned to lighter foods rich in water and vitamin C. There was rhythm in their way of living. Today, many have lost that rhythm. Food is processed, routines are rushed, and the connection to the body is weakened. Vitamins can help rebuild that connection. They remind us of what the body truly requires. Not artificial solutions, but the elements it was always meant to have. Taking vitamins with intention can become a ritual. Instead of swallowing them mindlessly, we can pause. We can reflect. We can give thanks for the body and its ability to heal. This shift turns the act into something sacred. It reminds us that health is not something to chase, but something to return to. Balance is always available, but it requires participation. It requires action. It requires consistency. And that consistency is an expression of self-respect. When the skin begins to glow, when energy returns, when sleep deepens, and the mind clears, it is not magic. It is alignment. It is balance restored. That glow people speak of is not just from a serum or cream. It is the result of the body working in harmony, each part supported by the tools it needs. Vitamins are part of that toolkit. When used wisely, they make the path smoother. They accelerate healing. They build resilience. But even more than that, they serve as a reminder that the body is worthy of care, that it is intelligent, adaptable, and capable of regeneration. When we provide it with the right resources, it responds with grace. That grace is what others see as beauty, not perfection, not artificial enhancement, but vitality, clarity, lightness. That is what true balance feels like, and that is what it looks like. So let the use of vitamins not be random. Let it be conscious. Let it be part of a greater journey, a journey of coming home to the body, honoring its design, and trusting its wisdom. In that trust, we discover that health is not complicated. It is a matter of alignment, awareness, and care. And in that care, beauty is born, not as a goal, but as a result, as a reflection of balance restored,